Hello everybody, greetings of the day. Hope you guys are well and safe and enjoying your life. Today I come up with part 3 of our Pfsense series, and hope you guys liked my previous videos. And if you are new to this video, I would suggest you to please go through my first 2 videos so you know you can follow this lecture. But if you have a basic understanding of Pfsense, then you can stick around and you can have a look and see how it goes. Guys, as I mentioned that I am not a full expert of the Pfsense. I am still like you guys, I'm learning the things, but whatever I have learned I will show it to you and you guys will definitely enjoy it. Let's start. So as I mentioned in the last video as well, and as I for example showed you as well that how our infrastructure is set up for this particular tutorial. So I want to show you here a bit of actually it's a screenshot of a Mac Mini machine which I have, and I have this setup. I am accessing it from my laptop because Mac Mini is also on the same network, so it's easy for me to access it on the same network. So you can see that we have one web server and we have Firewall. Both are running at the moment, and we are going to use that too for our testing purposes and for our for this lab particularly. So we'll start from the slide 1. So you have seen that in last video I've given you a bit of an overview, but there was a couple of things which was left there, and I just want to cover that quickly so that you guys can understand and will have a better idea. So let's log into the firewall here and we can start our lecture. Okay, so we are in. So the first thing which I want to cover in this is of course the user management for all sysadmins. It's a basic thing, and we can use it for different purposes. We have multiple system administrators there. We want to give them full control or limited control, we can do it from here. So you can see how we can add it here. You can see that we also can set up a group, and we can move it to the other list which this user will be the member of. We can also add an SSH key there so that they can SSH to the Pfsense firewall. But as I mentioned that we can also manage the firewall from the terminal as well, so from the command line I would say. So you can see that it's here. I mentioned you as well in the last video as well, and you can see we have a whole bunch of options here. We can assign interfaces, we can reset the interfaces, we can reset the whole factory. We can also restart the Pfsense firewall as well, filter the log. pftop is a very interesting utility. We can check for the traffic on the internet. So there's a whole bunch of options which you can use. We also have the groups as well. You can see that we can add the group name, and we can specify the types, we can specify the members, and we can add the groups as well. Here is the settings session. We can keep the sessions timeout as well. So for example, if we are logged into the firewall and there is no activity for a bit of a time, and we can manage that as well. It will be automatically logged out. Authentication server, you can use this authentication local or another authentication server as well. In terms of authentication server, as you can see that for example in Windows we usually have the Active Directory, or for example LDAP, lightweight directory protocol or something like that. So we can use that as well for if we want to retrieve our users from there. So we have we can do that as well. So it's pretty much easy things. It's not super of, you can say, for example, a rocket science. If you have a basic networking understanding, I would say that this will be easy for you. So this is a bit of an overview of the user management. Next thing which I want to show you is the package manager. Okay, now this is very important one, and when you will be administering the Pfsense firewall, you will need that. So for example, for now we have installed the HA proxy. HA proxy is a very important thing actually, and you can actually see the definition. So HA proxy is a free and open source software that provides a high availability load balancer and reverse proxy for TCP and HTTP based applications that spreads requests across multiple servers. So basically HA proxy is for the load balancing and high availability. So for example, if you have an application deployed on 2 servers, so if one server is down, it will still serve the application from the second server. So HA proxy is also very important. We're going to cover this topic in this how you say, in this tutorial, and it's a very important one, especially when we are installing the SSL certificate on a web server, when we are talking about SSL offloading. So it's a very important topic in that terms. Now we can see the available packages. So for example, we have Icmp. I'm searching everything for you guys. Actually, it's just giving this different thing in networking, I would say. So Icmp network, I can't find actually a proper definition for this, but you can search out and you can see what is Icmp is. We have bin DNS package which we can use. We have crons. We have, for example, iPerf. It's also is a tool for testing network throughput. Okay, basically the latency. We can also, for example, a whole bunch of Nmap is very important actually, and you can see the definition as well. As Nmap is a utility for network exploration or the security auditing. So Nmap basically we use for the port. We can check what ports are open there, and it's a very important in terms of when you're troubleshooting the Linux server there. So it's a very important in that way. And so you can see that there are a lot of packages which we can see if we can install there, and we can use that. So you can just dig around and you can see how these things work. Next thing is, for example, high availability synchronization. You can see that the different options there you can check. I'm not gonna dive deeper into this topic actually. Why? Because I'm going to cover it in detail in the next tutorial, so I'm gonna leave it for now. But you can see that admin access here in the advanced, it's a very, so for example, you can see HTTPS and SSL is enabled. That's why we're getting this warning. You can see that this warning, and then we have the other, for example, this is the DNS option. We have, for example, we can enable the secure shell. This is the SSH access, so we can enable it from there. We can change the port as well, and by the way, if we want to change the port here as well, so for example, for security reasons, if I want to change the port of my Pfsense firewall, I can do that. For example, if I want to give this firewall port number 10443, for example, and if I save it now, and it's saved now, but if we open in the new tab 192.168.221, and now we will not be able to access the firewall. Why? Because we changed the default port there. It will not be able to access there, and to access we will need to define the port as well. So 443 is our port, and when you'll do this, look, we are here. We are now in the firewall. So you can it's very interesting. You can change the port number as well, where you can access the firewall. So you see that it was trying to access, but it can't because it's not listening on the on the port 80, which is the default default HTTP port. Okay, the next thing which I would say is we was in the advanced. Let me go back to the advanced, and you can see that. And then we have firewall and net. Gonna cover it, to be very honest, in deep. Networking, miscellaneous, system tunable, notifications. So there are a lot of things you can dig deeper. And as I mentioned, or if I haven't mentioned, that Pfsense have very comprehensive documentation there. So you can simply you can simply go onto their documentation page, and let me get the documentation. So you say here, yeah, here is the documentation. So yeah, so you can see that we have a pretty comprehensive documentation. If you go to any topic, so you will be able to read through this. It's a very wide topic. I mean, nobody would be knowing the whole Pfsense, okay? But look, if you have a basic understanding, then you know how to do the basic things, you're good to go. At least you can make your network secure. You can do a basic administration. It's a pretty much enough actually for a sysadmin to do the things. So that's the Pfsense documentation. I will leave the link in the description, so you can have a look there. So the next thing which we are going to discuss particularly in this tutorial is the firewall rules. That's a very important one, and what firewall rules do basically, so we have to check that. So firewall rules are very important. So first of all, I want to show you maybe on my firewall. So I have pretty much some of the firewall rules are there. It's others, so just forget about this. We will add our own rules, and I'll show you how we can do that. Okay, so first of all, firewall rules, what they do, so they control the flow of the traffic. Okay, so in firewall we can give access, or maybe we can allow particular type of traffic there, and we can for example ignore, or you can say we can block a particular type of traffic to which we don't want to access into our virtual machine or to our web server. And that's how we control the flow of the traffic. So that's why I actually wrote there that it control the flow of the traffics. The second thing, the state table is created for the traffic from LAN to WAN. Okay, now as I mentioned actually, so I can basically go to the last slide here, and you can see that I still have that diagram. So by default, the traffic from LAN, which is so basically I take a screenshot, it's easy for me to draw on that. So you can see that basically this is our LAN, okay, and this is our WAN here, and the traffic from LAN to WAN is allowed. It's allowed by default, but the traffic from WAN to LAN is not allowed. That's what we're gonna do or set up in this tutorial, and we'll see how we can access to this particular server, okay, from WAN network. Okay, so basically I would say from my laptop I will SSH to this server. Okay, so that's how basically it is. Then sorry, we'll go back to that. The next thing is the firewall rules on an interface inner traffic. So basically I actually, yeah, so how it is. So firewall rules on interface process, it's basically process traffic in the inbound direction. So what does that mean is, so if a traffic is entering into LAN or traffic entering into WAN, the traffic rules will be implemented on the entering traffics. So but if the traffic is exiting or going out or outbounding from any of the interface from WAN or LAN, the rules will not be implemented on that. All right, now next thing is rules are processes from top to bottom. So as I shown you, if for example, if the first rule is allowing the SSH access and the second rule is blocking the SSH access, it will not care about the second rule. It will implement the first rule. So, it will. So that's why rules process from top to bottom. Now next is the LAN. Okay. Now LAN to WAN traffic is allowed by default, as I mentioned in the last screenshot and drawings. You can reverse my video and you can see that how I explained that LAN to WAN traffic is always allowed by default. Traffic shaper can be used in the firewall rules. Now traffic shaper is another topic which I will cover, so we don't have to be worried about that. Rule stops at the first match. It's the same. If the first match is being found, it will not look for another match, so it will process the traffic according to that first match rule. Multiple rules may be selected from some actions. Yes, we can do that, and I'll show you in the practical. Aliases can be used in the firewall rules. Now alias is another topic which I haven't covered yet, and I have plans to do it in the next video, so I will also leave this for now, and we will cover it in the next tutorial. So leave the alias and the traffic shaper for now. Rules may be deleted or recorded in bulk. Yes, we can do that. We can add multiple rules in a bulk. We can add the alias, as I mentioned. I haven't gone through that, but alias. So basically, I would say that alias, for example, if I want to block certain IPs to access my web server, what I'll do is I'll create an alias and I will add the IPs there, and I will create a rule that the IPs mentioned in this alias cannot access my web server. Okay. Now next time if I want to add another IP which I don't want that IP to access our web server, I don't have to create a separate rule for that IP on the server. I can simply add that IP to the alias and it will serve the job. Okay. On firewall rule page, there is a tab for each interface. So yeah, I mean, you can go and you can see that for example, you have interfaces, WAN, LAN, management. So we have the tabs there. Actually it was the same, sorry. Yeah, it was same. Yeah, so this is, we have the, for example, different options and tabs on the firewall itself, as I shown you previously. Like here you can see that. So this is basically the rules. Okay. And we just make a note and keep that in mind when you're creating the firewall rules. The next thing is for example, the NAT is very important topic. So why I put the NAT here, so that you understand the concept of NAT. Now first of all, I would be very frank, to very honest, that if you don't have understanding of the networking, you may have a big difficulty to understand the Pfsense firewall. So I am expecting everyone to have at least a basic knowledge of the networking. So NAT, the network address translation is the method of mapping an IP address space into another by modifying network address information in the IP header of packets while they are in transit across a traffic routing device. So basically what it is so I can explain it in the diagram here. So okay, so basically what happened is, I'll take the screenshot here. So this is my ISP router, and it will have a public IP address. Okay, and if it have public IP address, so if the traffic comes from here, and for example it goes to my traffic, into my laptop. Okay, so if for example I search google.com from here, it will send request out on the internet, and the internet will serve the page and send the request back to me. What will happen is the server which is serving my request know the IP of the ISP. Okay, and that ISP will know where the traffic comes from within the network. It will use and where it has to send that traffic, it will use the NAT protocol. Okay, and NAT will translate my IP address. So if I translate the public IP address into the WAN or internal IP address or private IP address, okay, so that's what NAT is. I would suggest you to go through this video. I mean, this guy is brilliant, in terms of explaining the things. He have all that,
That's hard
nice.
to me, but you are.
So it's actually a very, very nice, you say graphical interface. Sorry, very nice drawings and animations there. So you will be understanding this very quickly. So I would suggest you to go through this, and you will be able to understand the concept of the NAT in deep. So I will leave this link in the so you can see that you see it's actually telling everything properly, how the NAT works. So I would suggest you to go through this video so that you will clear your concept of NAT, and the work we are going to do in this tutorial. The NAT concept has to be cleared, has to be cleared for sure, because if you don't know the NAT, you will not be able to understand this tutorial. So this was the NAT basically. The next thing which we have, the tasks. So what we are going to do practically in this tutorial. So we are going to access the machine within the LAN network from WAN network, and we are going to, so for example, we have to, so I will SSH from my laptop to the server within the LAN network, which IP is 192.168.1.120. So I hope you are you are ready for this. Just to confirm before I jump into this, that DHCP server, and I want to check that the server have the same IP. Yeah, 192.168.1.20, and you can see that node 100 is connected there. The name of my server is node 100, and we can log into this and we can check that out. All right, now to start with this, guys, here is the server. At the moment we don't have access to this, okay. So for example, if I search to root at the rate of 2.168.1.120, and you can see that I cannot access to this server. Why? Because we don't have access to this server. The SSH access is blocked, or it's not allowed there. So we have to check that. We have to allow that manually. Okay. So to do that, so first of all, you can see that we have what I would say is, I'll just take a screenshot to just keep get you a bit of understanding what we're gonna do here. So this is our WAN interface, okay, and WAN interface have their own DHCP server. That DHCP server is basically the router of the internet service provider, okay, and this DHCP server is assigning the WAN IPs, okay, so 192.168.0.1, okay. Now the IP address of my laptop is, so if I just write to there, maybe, here it is. So the IP address of my laptop is 192.168.0.115, okay. So this is the IP address of my laptop, okay, here, and I'll show you in a bit from my terminal that this is the IP address of my, and it's getting this IP address from the DHCP server which is set up on our router, okay. So we have, first of all, I'm expecting you to know about the private IP addresses, subnetting, and basic concept of IP addressing, I would say. So I will not be able to show you the router settings for security reasons of my own network here, but we have IPs available on the WAN network, okay, and on the WAN network, I would say, sorry, just give me a second. So we have IPs available from, for example, 04 to, I would say, 192.168.0.255. okay, well, 254 I would say. Okay, so we have this range which is already available. Some of them are already being picked. So for example, my laptop IP is 192.168.1.0.115. so we have these IPs available. Why I'm telling you this? Because we have to add these virtual IPs in the Pfsense firewall to access our machine. Okay, now I'm going to delete this one, and I want to show you if config, and you will see my IP address here. So you can see my IP address here. So this is the IP address of my my laptop. Okay, now we are going to now start. Okay, now to give access as SSH access to this server, we will need to set up a virtual IP from WAN. Okay, so how it's gonna work, I'm just gonna take another screenshot. Okay, we are going to set up an IP on the Pfsense firewall from WAN network. Okay, and then that IP, we will set up a rule that if request comes on that particular IP, the SSH request, it should goes to this IP. Okay, now you will understand it when I'll be doing it. So what I'm doing is, we will set up an IP on our Pfsense firewall, a virtual IP, and then that virtual IP will be redirecting the traffic to this IP in the LAN. Okay, so let's get to the job and you will understand it. Okay, so we are on the firewall now. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna add a new virtual IP. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is IP address of WAN. Okay, and I give IP, for example, I can give IP of so for example, I can give IP of 130. Okay, so this is our IP. Okay, you can give the direct the description. Want this node as 100. Okay, so this is the virtual IP of 100. So we save this here, we make sure that we are applying the changes, and you can see that node 100 has been added here. Okay, sorry, go back to the virtual IPs here, and you can see that node 100 is the virtual IP is added. So what we did exactly is, we get a IP from our range which I mentioned, that DHCP server on the router, and we set up the virtual IP here. Okay, now next thing which we have to do is to create a rule. Okay, so how it's gonna work, actually the next thing is very important. Okay, I'm gonna tell you. Now we have to add the rule. Okay, now rule will explain that from where is the text, sorry. So I'll add the IP address first. So sorry, 100.168.0.130. I think it was 130 if I'm not wrong. Sorry, 130. Yes, we are right. Yeah. Okay, so we will add a rule from this IP that the SSH access is allowed to LAN network. Okay, that's what it's gonna do. The next thing, we have to add a NAT rule. Okay, NAT will explain that if an SSH request comes from this IP, this should go to this IP here. Okay, if an SSH request make on this virtual IP, this SSH request should go to this internal IP. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna add a rule. So we'll go to the firewalls, we can add a rule. We already have the rules here. We can copy it, or you can so you can add it from here as well. Okay, it's easy. Or you have, if you have the rules are already there, you can copy it as well, but we will go through from the start. So the first thing which you should make sure that it is on the pass. It means it's, you can block as well, you can reject as well. Okay, you can do a whole bunch of things there. So what we want to do, we pass, we want to allow. Okay, what we want to allow from WAN network, the address family will be the IPv4. Okay, the protocol will be the TCP. You have other protocols as well. Okay, you can check that too, but for now what we need is the TCP protocol. Okay, because SSH is the TCP protocol. Okay, next, the source. So any IP or any device from the source, okay, can SSH. So here it is, the SSH and SSH to single alias or or host IP is 120. So we can edit it there. We have 120. That's the IP address of, actually it is already there, so why not we delete this rule and we add it actually from scratch so that you understand it. I just don't want to create a confusion here, so I want to apply change. So what we want to do is we want to allow SSH access to this server in the local LAN. I'm going to add a rule, pass WAN IPv4 TCP, and the source can be any, and the destination will be the single host. You can select a whole network as well, and there are other options as well. You want this. Now what is the IP of the server is 192.168.1.20. Okay, so we need that. So where is it? 192.168.1.120, and the port on which port we want to give that access is the port 22. Where is the port 22 here? You can't really find out. Sorry guys, I'm a little blind here. SSH, where is SSH? Yeah, there it is. Sorry. So SSH, the description we can say node -100, and we can save this. You can apply the change. Now the I'm not sure where is it. Oh, sorry, it's the first one. Okay, so you can see that the rule is added for the server. Okay, the next thing is the NAT. Okay, so we have to go to NAT and we have to add a rule here. We can, for example, copy this one. We can add the rule. So its traffic comes from WAN, which is IP4 and TCP protocol. The destination will be the node 100. You can see that here. Okay, and the SSH access should be allowed to 120, which is the IP address of our local virtual machine. It should allow, so you can see that WAN interface will allow it will point the traffic. So it will say if the traffic comes on this virtual IP, if you SSH to this virtual IP, the SSH traffic should NAT it to the 192.168.1.20. So if we SSH to this IP, it will let us SSH to this, which is the IP of this server. Okay, now it will go. Next we can say node -100. Okay, and we can save this. Okay, we can apply the changes here, and here we go. All right, now we can check is the SSH to 192. Sorry, actually already here. So you remember that so we were gonna remove that. So the IP address of our virtual IP address which we added is 0.130, and somehow it's giving me this issue. What I know how to fix this. So SSH, it's actually the wrong entry in the SSH, so we can fix this easily. It's not a problem. So we can SSH now again. Yes, and now it is asking for the password, and here we go. We are in the node 100. We are successfully logged in. Now if you check the IP address, you can see that IP address is this one, 192.168.1.20. okay, but we SSH to the other IP address. Okay, now the next thing I would say in our task is installation of the web server on the server. So maybe many of you will know the Linux administration, but I would say you to go through my Linux tutorials. It's very useful, and you can easily understand how we can administer, how we can install different packages on the Linux operating system. So for example, rpm-q, we can quickly check if the Apache server or any other web server is installed. So we can see that it's not, so we can install it. Install httpd-y, and I hope this will install the Apache web server. Okay, now it's installing the Apache web server itself, and the Apache server is installed. So if we see systemctl status httpd, it's inactive. We can start this now, and here we are, and we start the Apache server. We can check the status, and you can see it's active. Okay, now if we go to our 192.168.0.130, we press enter, we are not getting anything. Why? Because on the firewall, so you can see that here we can just quickly take the screenshot here, and on the firewall the SSH is allowed, which is on port 22. Okay, but HTTP traffic is not allowed, which is on port 80. Okay, sorry, my drawing is not right. So to get this access, we will need to add this access from the firewall rule. So what we can do is quickly we can add a rule which will allow the access to the firewall. Allow the HTTP access to the server. So we can, you see that we can't really access it, and it's still trying to access, but it can't access there. Okay, now what we can do is that we can add a rule here. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we will go to rules first, and we will add a rule that the traffic should be allowed there. Just want to delete this to add it again so that you know everything again. Now I'm gonna add another rule. So first thing which you want to pass, on what interface? WAN interface, IPv4, yeah, TCP IP connection, yeah, that's fine. We can specify the source as well, which source can access and which source cannot, and single host or alias, and we can say 192.168.1.120. okay, we want to allow the access on our server, the HTTP access. Before we we enable the SSH access, and now we want to enable the HTTP access, which is on port 80, and this is done. And we can say, for example, give the web access on, for example, node 100. There you go. Can save that, and we can apply a change. Okay, now if you go here, it will still not be able to access, and you guys tell me why. And if some of you already tell you are brilliant, congratulations, you understand everything. But for those who don't know why, you can follow the lecture, you will watch this video 2 or 3 times, you will understand everything. Why? Because it allow the access on the web server. So it allow the access. Okay, so just quickly take the screenshot so I will show you. Okay, it allow the access of port of HTTP traffic on this web server. Now, how we can see what IP address from the WAN interface can map to this? Okay, we haven't mentioned this. So for that, we need to add the NAT rule. Okay, so if we go to NAT, and so for example, the rule is already there, just have to add it. So WAN, what interface it should be? WAN, and the IPv4 and TCP IP protocol. All right, because the HTTP is a TCP IP protocol. Okay, now this is the important one. We want, if somebody access this IP on port 80, the traffic should goes to the target IP, which is 120. Okay, and we can give the description here. So we can say node 100 web access. Okay, we can save this, we can apply the change, and now if we refresh this, you see it served the web page. Okay, now it is accessing the web page. Okay, so that's now if we access the HTTP traffic, or for example if we search this IP, it will serve this page from here. Okay, and just to confirm, so if I say systemctl, so for example, just create a simple page, so cd var w html. Okay, and I can create a file index.html. Okay, and this is something which you should know already, I would say, or you can follow my my Linux tutorials and you will understand that. So for here, if I say, for example, Pfsense tutorials with Hassan, okay, you can save this, and now if we refresh this, so you can see that it's serving this page here. Okay, Pfsense tutorials with Hassan. Okay, and if we stop this, if we stop the, for example, the Apache web server, it will stop working here as well. Okay, so this is how we allow the HTTP traffic. So the next thing is, so for example, if I just going to exit from here, okay, let me exit, and this is our IP. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say ping. Okay, and we're getting ping back. Okay, but what we can do is, and it's very easy, you can go to the rules. All right, and we can add a rule that block TCP, we will say ICMP traffic, and we want to single host an IP 192.168.1.120. Okay, now you can save this. Okay, apply the changes, and if we ping now, still pinging. Why? Because we block the, oh yes, I understand that. So we go to rule, add rule when block source any destination will be single host and IP. Yeah, it's good that you get the problems. Why? Because it's good to, okay, so it's blocking the ICMP on this. So what we can do is that we can go to NAT and we add a rule here when IPv4 ICMP traffic, I would say here, and WAN address will be node 100 and redirect to 192.168.0, so .1.120. okay, and we can say, for example, block ICMP. So you can use this, save this, apply changes, and now if you can see this again, yeah, you see that it's giving the timeout because we block the ICMP. Now you should know what is ICMP. Is a quick one. I'll show you ICMP. So Internet Control Message Protocol. Okay, so you just, you can have a look on this. This is a very basic protocol. It sends the packet to test the connectivity, and as a sysadmin we usually use this for server connectivity. So you see that we block the IP address. So one more thing which I want to show you here is, so for example, of any random IP, okay, if I ping 192.168, any random IP in our WAN network, .210, so you can see that if you ping, there is no device with this IP is connected to our WAN network, okay, but when we will go to our firewall here and we add a virtual IP here. So for example, if I add a virtual IP with 210, maybe test, and save this and apply change, and when you apply the change, see it start getting the ping because we created a virtual IP here. Okay, now this IP is here and assigned here, so you can see that we have this ping here. So that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you like this and you are enjoying my series of Pfsense. I will come up with other series as well and with other tutorials, so please like and subscribe my channel. It really help me to make more videos when I get a positive response from you. So please please ask any question. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer that regarding this tutorial. And we'll leave this here, and I will come up with another interesting topic of Pfsense very soon. And till then, please take care of yourself and the people around you, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much, guys, and enjoy the Pfsense.